conducts business in the following order: review, amend, and approve meeting minutes of a previous meeting, move to unfinished business, take up new business, and then close with announcements from staff. Each request is heard in the order that it appears on the agenda. For each conditional use and variance request, the following will be done. We will introduce the agenda item, and the Planning Division will present a staff report which may or may not offer a recommendation. The applicant agent will be asked to present their justification for their request, which may include questions by members of the board. We will then open a public hearing to hear testimony in support of or in opposition to the request. Rules regarding public testimony are as follows. Anyone wishing to testify during the public hearing may do so once recognized by the chair, or may, in lieu of oral testimony, submit written testimony to the chair for consideration. All recognized speakers must approach the podium, state their name and address for the record, and speak clearly into the microphone. All comments must be addressed to the board. It should be relevant to the application and may not be of a personal nature or personal attacks. All speakers will be limited to 5 minutes. If members of the board have any questions of the speaker, that time will not be counted toward the maximum 5 minutes. If there is a large number of speakers, including many who are part of groups or organizations, we may, to avoid repetitive comments, elect to ask for a representative to speak on behalf of the group or organization. Speakers are notified that irrelevant comments or comments of a personal nature or personal attacks may result in the speaker forfeiting his or her opportunity to participate in the deliberation and public hearing. We may elect to recognize the applicant agent at the end of the public hearing to provide rebuttal or additional comments, which will be limited to an additional 5 minutes. If members of the board have any questions of the applicant agent, that time will not be counted toward the 5 minutes. After all testimony is heard, I will declare the public hearing closed and no further public comment will be permitted. Uncivil, unruly, and/or disruptive behavior at any time during this meeting is prohibited and will result in removal from this public meeting. State law requires the board to consider findings of fact for each conditional use and variance requests or other case. The request cannot be granted unless a majority of the quorum present finds in the positive of all of the findings of fact. The board may elect to continue the hearing to another date if it needs additional information. Applicants and requesting parties will be notified in writing by planning of the board's findings and conclusions. Regardless of whether a request is approved or denied, decisions of the board can be appealed to the Circuit Court of Monongalia County within 30 days upon receipt of written notification from planning. Any work done relating to decisions rendered by the board during this 30-day period is at the sole financial risk of the applicant. Thank you for your consideration and respect for these proceedings and the opinions of all meeting participants. Call to order. Ms. Cook?
Here.
Mr. Misfelt?
Here.
Mr. DeWitt?
Here.
Mr. Benison is present. We do have a quorum for the record. Let's see. We don't have meeting minutes to review at this time, but we will do that when the opportunity arises. We're going to move to take up unfinished business. The first agenda item is CON 25-070, James Morrison, 709 High Street, request by James Morrison for a conditional use regarding a fraternity or sorority house use per section 1331.05 of the city's planning and zoning code per permitted land uses standards. City Tax District 13, 2nd Ward, Tax Map 26, Parcel 160.1 in the R2 single and two family residential districts.
For CON 25-070, in the packet as well as up on the screen is just a map kind of showing a overview of the site as well as the 200-foot radius for that site. There's also additional kind of site plan showing the floor plan of one of the floors. It's pretty standard for the rest of the way through. And let's see if there's, so that's as far as visual representation goes, there's those two. The applicant is seeking a conditional use permit regarding a proposed fraternity house at the above referenced address. Refer to the sections of code below as well as the layout of the structure. Table 1331-0501 permitted land uses for fraternities or sorority houses. Conditional use in an R2 single and two-family residential district is required. In summary, the applicant wishes to get a certificate of occupancy for a fraternity house at 709 High Street. See the attached application to review the findings of fact listed, as staff have had no comments or modifications to these, as well as these attachments can be found below the conditions. Staff have no objections to the applicant's request for a conditional use. If the board does grant the applicant conditional use approval in accordance with the city's planning and zoning code, the use shall be subject to the following condition, being our standard condition of any other modification or changes to the site plan shall be compliant with the city's planning and zoning code, or the applicant shall seek variance relief from the Board of Zoning Appeals. And that concludes staff report.
Thank you. Do we have a representative for this case? Is this
I
the
believe online.
remotely? All right.
Mr. Morrison, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Do you have any other comments for the board?
My only comment was, thank you guys for allowing us to submit this application. This is a continuing use. We're happy to be back in Morgantown, and we look forward to the approval. If there are any questions, I can answer, but thank you guys for your consideration.
Thank you. I actually have a question about the parking. With regard to, really the first finding of fact, can you speak to not that your conditional use request specifically has to do with any parking requirements, but can you speak to the nature of the additional satellite parking?
One second.
And this is referenced on page 11 of the full meeting packet,
Yeah, that was
in
one
that,
moment.
in the case summary report.
Says there's 8 plus satellite.
Sure that I have it right.
Did he actually state what he meant?
Just wanna make sure.
I'm going to ask him for an overview, actually. And then in addition to that question, can you just provide like an overview synopsis of, you know, what you're proposing?
Yeah, absolutely. So our request is for the certificate of occupancy for a fraternity. So this is a house that's owned by the Sigma Phi Epsilon Fraternity National Corporation. We don't currently have an active chapter at the university, but we are operating the house and leasing it to another fraternity. As far as the satellite parking is concerned, let's see here, pull up my notes on this one.
Is the property being used at capacity now by the frat that's in there?
It's not used at capacity. It's about 75% at 75% capacity for the tenant. The leases that they have currently signed, so it's not at full capacity.
But it's anticipated that it will be in the future?
That would, I haven't received a final word for the number of occupants for the next academic year, but given the size of that particular chapter, I would estimate that we at most would see an 80-85% occupancy of the property. Getting it to be 100% full is highly unlikely within the next 2 years.
So is it the same fraternity that's going to remain there?
Yes, they have a They've entered into a 5-year contract with us.
This year?
Yes.
And then I mean, this is just maybe a side point, but to operate as a RSO, you must have a charter requirement to continue operating as an RSO fraternity? Can you speak to that, or?
Yeah, our specific chapter was removed from the campus, and so we've, in order to maintain the house, we've solicited another organization to occupy the premises. If our organization's been removed by the university, we, in order to stay compliant with the university and hopes of coming back, we dissolve the chapter and don't allow any of our former members into the houses.
So right now, you're just a landlord? Correct?
I'm sorry, I did not hear that question.
So right now, you're just a landlord, more or less?
Correct. More or less.
So if it's at 75% capacity, how many people is that? So there's 8 spaces here, so I doubt only 8 people have cars. So, I mean, are you aware, I guess you don't live there, you're just a landlord, so, I mean, are you aware of what the, I guess, custom is there? Or do most people get parking spaces in a ramp, or what?
I would need to ask the tenant. I'm not sure what they've been instructed to do.
Because there are 18 bedrooms just on one level.
So this might be a question for Saylor. What prompted them needing to get this again? It discontinued when this chapter got in trouble, and then now they want to lease it out, so they need it again?
Yeah, so this has always been used as a fraternity house, and there was just a lapse in them getting it renewed, beyond the point of being able to just be non-conforming pre-existing, so they have to go back and get it. But it was an active kind of fraternity house. Then it kind of slipped out. They didn't get it renewed, and now they're going back to try and get it. But they're not changing the use from what it was previously.
So if they sold, because right now they're a landlord, so unless there's some hope of them getting another chapter, they're probably going to sell. So with the buyer, does the permit run with the buyer as long as the use doesn't stop?
Oh, yeah, so if, so they
get
sell
to
it or
that
something, and someone comes in and also wants to have a fraternity
Similar
house
to a
there, or
business
something, and it's
transfer.
approved, they'll, as long as it's being maintained as a fraternity as long as it's being maintained, or if a day under a year goes by, then the next person will be able to just continue it
The
as a
use.
fraternity.
Okay. So if they got this and then sold to a different frat tomorrow, that frat can move in and start operating. They don't need to come back here.
Correct, for the use, but if they wanted to change something with the property that wasn't compliant, then they would, but they could get the approval for, as a fraternity house use, sell it or do something to have another fraternity house take it over.
We
and then they
could
wouldn't
make that a
have to come back.
condition. Could we make that a condition?
Yeah, the board is able
So
to make
long
that
as
a
it
condition
continues
if you
as
want.
a
If this is to change hands, they have to return to the Board of Zoning.
Yeah, because I don't see any reason why this organization is going to stick around
Right.
as a landlord.
Yeah, for 5 years.
I mean, I'm sure they're looking to sell. When did the use discontinue? 23, you said?
Off the top of my mind, I'm not sure. It just discontinued its use. It was before my time at the city.
But towards the parking, like 8 spaces for, I mean, it looks like there's.
Because there
plus
were 18
16
bedrooms just on the one level.
Right, so like, is this like a grandfathered thing that they were since this is such an old frat house and now having lost its certification or whatever, trying to get back into, they grandfathered to the same ability to only use 8 parking spaces?
Number of spaces.
Yeah. Like where they have to now apply for like what is currently needed for that level of occupancy, because I feel like that's what we would want to ask for.
For the grandfather status of it, because I believe it is over a year on there, then they wouldn't have any grandfather status for anything on it. So,
I'm kind of, I mean, even if it continues as under this use, even if there's a change in ownership, I'm a little concerned with the parking.
All right, that's what I mean, like, because if they
'Cause they're
sell
not-
and then somebody else runs it at full capacity, that's a big difference from how it's being operated at present, but they're not gonna have to come back here unless we make that a condition. I mean, I would make that a condition, that if they're gonna sell it, that, and they want to, to a different frat, that frat's gonna have to come here and get a conditional
agree.
use.
If I may interject here just momentarily, we don't have any intention to sell during the term of our lease agreement with this other organization. So we're going to be the landlord for at least the next 4 to 5 years. So again, it's not our intention to sell, but if we need to reapply for this permit annually, then we're more than willing to do
No,
that.
it's not-
As a request.
It's not for you to reapply, it's for if you were to change hands, then that new owner would have to reapply. That's what we're discussing.
Yeah, so if you were to sell, the new frat couldn't piggyback on your conditional use permit, they'd have to come back here.
Understood.
which the board can add as a condition.
Yeah.
If it is approved, that can be a condition that you would vote in.
That's my vote.
Yep. We're not unduly troubled by the parking consideration, because again, on that one level, there are 18 bedrooms.
But also, I think we could argue about this for like hours on the parking like we do every other parking situation. So I mean, if the city agrees that it's okay, and this is historically been
It's been a fraternity,
it's built to be a fraternity.
and there haven't been significant parking.
They just deal with it, they have to deal with it
Concerns.
there anyways.
So,
That's a whole, the rat's nest.
Yeah, I guess we don't know when the original, when their first conditional use permit was granted, do we? Yeah, who knows,
I
okay.
just don't know that. Beat a dead horse.
Did everyone have any other
It was
questions?
1950.
Any other concerns with any of the other?
I think it's,
Okay, so, why don't you, do you want to propose a condition with regard to change of ownership?
Oh, we have to go public. Public comment.
Yeah, we'll open the public hearing first.
yeah.
Okay, we are going to open the public hearing to address this case, CON 25-070. Anyone wishing to speak in support of or in opposition to this case, now is your opportunity to do so. It's open. Anyone? I see no one. We're going to close the public hearing. Any other questions about anything? No? Okay. So why don't we
I'd move
float
to
your
approve.
condition? Well, why don't
We get into the
we?
findings of fact first, right?
Okay. We're going to move to accept the findings of fact for this case, CON 25-070, references James Morrison, 709 High Street. So we have a motion to accept the findings of fact.
I'll second that.
We have a second to accept. How do we vote? Ms. Cook?
Aye.
Mr. Misfeld?
Aye.
Mr. DeWitt?
Aye.
And Mr. Benison, aye. Do we have a motion to, let's go with the condition. What do you propose?
Yes, I'd move to approve the application with whatever conditions planning had, and then also with the additional condition that if the property has a new tenant or is sold, that the new lessee or owner has to reapply for a conditional use permit.
Yep.
If they want to continue to operate a fraternity or sorority.
I'll second.
Yep. So we have a motion with acknowledgement of planning standard condition with the additional condition that, and Mr. Yeager, go.
I just had a follow-up question. Is the condition that they have to reapply for a conditional use or just seek approval from the board for it to be transferred? In the past, the board has structured these to where it could be transferred if they come back to the board and petition directly.
I would say seek a new conditional use, because we
Why?
can't, well, what if the proposed use, if there's a significant
The way it's
change
been
in?
structured before is that if it was going to be transferred, then they had to come back to the Board of Zoning Appeals. So I just wanted that clarification so that when that comes up in the future, if it does, staff directs the, potential occupants to apply appropriately, either to come back and have a conditional use permit or application with a hearing, or to simply come back and ask the board for permission to transfer.
So something we could just like vote on as an item without a,
Yeah, so permission to transfer wouldn't necessarily require a future public hearing.
okay.
So
But
I
we,
guess that's kind of the difference.
but the board would still vote on it.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So simple transfer rather than new.
Approved transfer.
Rather than a new conditional use application being reviewed and approved.
Yes.
That's fine, yep. So we have a motion with the slightly changed verbiage there, with a second by Mr. DeWitt, I believe.
Me.
By Ms. Cook, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
All those in favor
Aye.
of this? Aye. So, Mr. Morrison, we've granted your request for the conditional use, subject to the standard planning condition and the second separate condition. If there's a change in ownership, the new owner will come before the board for a transfer. So you will receive written notification from planning, 7 to 10 business days, but sir, keep in mind that the determination we just rendered can be appealed to the Circuit Court of Montague County, and any work that you undertake in that 30-day window, you do at your sole financial risk. Thank you. Okay. So we're moving to VAR 25-076, John Espinoza, 731 Wells Street, request by John Espinoza for variance relief from section 1365.04 of the city's planning and zoning code regarding minimum off-street parking requirements, City Tax District 13 in the 5th Ward, tax map 26, parcel 370 in the R1A, single-family residential district.
For VAR 2576, like the previous one, as well as in the packets and on the TV, here's a overview of the site, showing where the location is, as well as that 200-foot kind of buffer zone. A bit more of a zoomed-in image to provide a little bit more descriptor for it. The applicant seeks to remodel the residential building at the above referenced address. This will be a one-unit structure with 3 bedrooms. For relevant sections of code below, where dwelling single-family needs 2 spaces per dwelling unit. In summary, the applicant is planning to remodel and use this residential structure at the above referenced address. The applicant is requesting variance regarding 2 off-street parking spaces. See the attached application to review the findings of fact listed, as staff have had no comments or modifications to these findings of facts. These can be found below the conditions. Staff also have no objections to the applicant's request for this variance relief. If the board does grant the variance relief for section 1365.04 of the city's planning and zoning code, the use shall be subject to the following condition, being that standard condition that was read previously. And then that'll conclude staff report.
Thank you. Do we have a representative for this case? VAR 20,
Attending
Remotely?
virtually as well. Yep.
okay. So is this John Espinoza then?
Yes, on the phone, correct.
Right, would you like to just provide an overview of what you're proposing?
Yeah, absolutely. So, thank you guys, good evening. I'm here representing 731 Wells. This is a property that we acquired around this time last year. We actually bought them as part of a lot of properties in the downtown Morgantown area. This is the final property that we have. We've been able to remodel 2, so this is the 3rd in that lot. The property itself, as you can imagine, these are 100-year-old houses, so they're pretty run down. We're going to be doing a complete gut and rebuild of this property. New roof, new windows, new siding, new flooring, HVAC, central AC. So I mean, the works is going to look like a rock star when it's all said and done. That street, if you guys haven't been down there, it's challenging because just parking in general is a challenge. We had an architect go out there, Aero Engineering. They were able to assess the property with us. We actually had an architect give us plans for the rebuild that we're doing. There's challenges with that property because of the property line, where the building is located, and just the overall environmentals. Like there's this massive tree in the front yard that would be very cost prohibitive to remove and to level out and to introduce parking. And so with all that in mind, and the use of the property itself is going to be used for student rentals. We're about 3 blocks from the PRT. Most of the rentals that we have are in the downtown area. Historically, when we do the rentals, we are very clear that the properties do not, include parking. And so we've been very successful in the past. We've been doing this for about 3 years in that market now, where our tenants have been able to, agree to that. They use the PRT and the public transportation that's available in Morgantown, and we have not had any issues, with those arrangements. And so we're hoping to do the same thing here with y'all's approval.
Right. Thank you.
I don't see a problem. Typical.
Any questions? No. Mr.
Yeah, how many residents do you expect to have at the, once it's ready for occupancy?
3.
3. I was going to guess 4.
And so then it would require 3 spaces then, minus our variance, if we granted the variance, right?
Because it's a rental.
No, single-family dwellings is 2.
But they're unrelated, so it's because they're unrelated.
Isn't it? Yeah.
No,
One
so
vehicle.
the use is dwelling single-family, and that's just 2 spaces per unit.
Oh.
So it's 1 dwelling unit, single-family, so it's just 2.
Just 2.
Flat. And they can't have more than a set amount of unrelated individuals,
So-
or people who are defined as a family unit.
Okay. I'm not sure I know which house on there is the one we're talking
The
about.
yellow line, see the yellow dotted.
Oh, okay.
With the massive tree in front of it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Then, yeah, I see it now, but I really didn't see it before.
Need a laser pointer, say.
Yeah,
I didn't bring it.
it's okay. So, how many spaces are there now? 1?
0.
Oh, 0. And they just expect us to park on the road?
So so they've encouraged people not to have cars, it sounds like.
Oh,
But that's a good point. I mean, since they're doing all this work to revitalize this home, I mean, if it was a single-family dwelling being used as a single-family dwelling, maybe we could. But putting 3 related students, one of them is going to have a car, 2 of them probably likely all 3.
Right.
Are there any, well, I guess we can wait and see if there's anybody here that represents the street.
So, but there's an issue with the topography, right?
I'd love to see a picture of this topography.
Can you explain, sort of what the issue is with, not being able to put off-street parking spaces with a hill or something?
Yeah, there's essentially a 10-foot hill. So think of like a parking lot, which is, so not the parking lot, I'm sorry. You have from the property line, immediately on that, there's a driveway, and not even a foot off of the driveway, you got an inclining like 10-foot hill. Like there's literally stairs that you have to take to get to the front door. So in order to put, let's just say you got unlimited money and you rule the world, you have to get an excavator, which would be a huge challenge to get down that street because it doesn't fit. Honestly, to get that down there, you'd have to shut it down, and it'd be very, very, very challenging. But you would have to excavate that 10-foot hill. You would then have to try to level it.
Yeah.
And then even then, it would be like an awkward position to get a car because you're still kind of going uphill. So that's the challenge. I mean, I think that's why the property historically just hasn't had it, because of the way that it was done 100 years ago.
Does that property next door have off-street parking? Do you know?
So the property next door actually it does, but in the house, the history, the next door neighbor house actually blew up. This is before we bought the property.
What?
So right now it's actually just a vacant lot. But that one their property line is very different because it's all like straight. So you can actually drive, you have street access where you can just pull right into it.
Yeah, so this like little cutout half lot, that belonged to this empty lot next to you, right? This one that blew up?
I'm sorry.
You said the house next to you burned?
Blew up.
Blew up?
Yeah, the house, yeah, it had like a gas leak.
Okay.
And it blew up, I wanna say it was like 2 years ago.
So the owner of that lot is, who has that little parking thing behind it? Sailor, do you know?
I'm unsure of who owns that parking. I just know that the owner does not, of this property, doesn't have access to that.
Correct, yeah.
I mean, it is sort of, it's kind of a textbook variance. You're supposed to put in off-street parking, but there's a massive hill that you'd have to
Right.
level to do it.
And they're trying to invest in bringing the structure back.
So this was a vacant property before you owned it?
Yes, sir, correct.
Okay. When did you purchase it?
Purchased it approximately April of '24.
Okay. So do you know how long it had been vacant?
Oh, that's a great question.
A while?
I honestly don't know, but it's probably been at least 3 years,
Since COVID?
potentially longer.
Is there any way to put spots, and the street isn't labeled, but in the graphic, I guess to the rear of the house, would there be any way to
I think that's where the hill
recess
is, isn't it?
parking
Yeah,
spots there?
Yeah, there's about probably an equivalent drop. So it looks level.
Oh, really? It's
like
not level?
picture,
Oh,
But from that street
Yeah.
to the actual yard, it's
Yeah.
probably about the same. It's about a 10-foot drop
oh,
that you have from the street access to where you cut around on the backyard.
right. Okay, that's out then. There,
It's kind of,
I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place on this one.
Well,
You are?
Yeah.
Well, we talked last week about,
we should start requiring
weighting and
profile
the,
shots
I
for
know.
whenever someone uses a hill as an excuse
I
for a
really
variance.
do. Well, I used to manage excavators, so I know you can get one in there. Probably, if
Okay,
they've got
so
a
you
road,
know.
I can get one right in there if there's already a road, right? So then to dig out cut a hill, I'd like to see what it looks like. Yeah. Ran like 4 drill rigs, so.
if they, yeah, well,
But it's also vacant and been vacant.
The neighboring one? Oh, it's
Well,
been
this
vacant,
one.
Yeah.
yeah, but it looks like there's room to even get something in there. And then, like I said, we had that case, what was it, last month about the
Can also fill up
parking
and
over
talk
on
about-
Waitman Street, and they said how congested it was over there. And I know they're thinking they're all gonna be walking, but
There was also correspondence for that case too, talking about it, people in the neighborhood writing about concerns about congestion. I've been out, but I've not received any calls recently since I've been back or emails about it, and I don't believe Ricky has either, or they would have been included in the packet.
That's wild.
Like, do we know if, we don't know of the existing congestion on that street, available parking, because other places there's no available parking in those areas, but,
Yeah, no knowledge of it.
would Public Works, is parking, on-street parking permitted at all? Like even if it's restricted and you have to apply for a specifically, if we were able to get 2 spots out front, is that
maybe we just mandated.
possible at all?
They just have to have parking, pay for parking somewhere downtown, and that's just something they have to deal with.
Well, that has to be within a certain distance, doesn't it?
Yeah, that'd be a conditional use permit, and they have to be within a specific district, which,
Because does this have on-street parking in this district?
That's what, yeah.
I
that's
mean,
what
you
I'm
can
wondering.
tell from this overhead shot, they've made people put off-street parking. You know, look
Well,
at
there is
all
one-
these
there
parking
is
spaces
one
are
vehicle-
dig outs.
It looks like there's one vehicle right.
Right.
Well, that's what I was kind of asking. I'm
looks
like, well,
level.
why don't you rent from whoever this is? Because
So
this probably belongs to that.
You bring fill in and you make a retaining wall and boom, you've got at street level, you don't have to
Right.
cut down, you can just bring up. So, I mean, I kind of
Yeah.
am more a fan of that idea because if they're doing a full remodel, it's not like they're using the existing home as it is. They're doing the full remodel for the purpose of renting it. And with that in mind, it makes me lean more towards having them put
Parking
parking in.
space, yeah.
Because otherwise, we're making.
And if
the
you're
city-
building it
otherwise we're
up,
making
you're
the
not-
city bear the load of this additional part.
What is everybody else around them?
Yeah.
Because it does look as if there's a vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. And
Right
they've
out
leveled
front.
up, you see they brought
Yep.
that up. You can see the
Yep.
cast shadow, so there is a little incline there, but without it, like, Ms. Fields said, I can't see a plan view of this to know what her profile
Yeah,
is.
the challenge, guys, that I'm running into, just, because I've looked at that retaining wall in the back, just being very transparent. It honestly just comes, it is cost prohibitive, right? When you're doing these houses and you're doing a full remodel, I'm putting in over $120,000 of my own money to do
Right.
this. And to add another $20,000 or $30,000 for a retaining wall,
Yeah.
Right.
I can't get my money back. Like, I'm just being honest with you guys, like, it's not worth the investment. So I'm trying to find a way, like, I'm hopeful that you guys can work with me. Like, how do we find a compromise to where, I can't realistically put in money into a house that I can't get back down the road
Right.
when I go to sell it, right? Like, you wouldn't buy a $200 car for $400,
This
right?
isn't
That's
our
kind of where I'm
problem.
at, just being very honest and transparent. Like, I want to find a way to get the gas, but adding a retaining wall, that's not cheap. That's not cheap to get that installed in the back. You're talking 15 to 20K.
Probably 30,000, yeah.
Maybe.
Or more, yeah, or more. Like, it's cost prohibitive. This house, when it's all said and done, is gonna be, 150, 170. And like, the numbers just, they're just not there.
But-
So it's not- you're not being-
Sell the property, and I assure you that the rebuild that I'm doing, you're gonna have a really nice house in Morgantown. I'm happy to give you addresses of other properties that I own. They are by far very nice. They are better than most landlords in the area, because they do them right. Like, I don't cut corners, but that's why I just want to be very transparent.
Well, with all that said and done, I mean, that should have been in the original consideration, and although we respect that you would have to pay, that's not really,
It's fair.
yeah,
Or
that's
the
not
bear.
really our monkey, so to speak. I dislike
I can
having to
appreciate
say that,
I'll
dislike
really
having to
consist
say
with
that.
y'all, and I respect y'all's decision.
Yeah. I mean, I think it really does need two spaces, like everybody else. When there's availability, there is, even, as I said, it.
Well, for me, in a sense, it's it's sort of textbook because it's a physical condition of the property that's making it cost prohibitive to put this parking in. Now, I get what you guys are talking about with the congestion and whatnot. So, I mean, if it was obvious that this is already super congested street, I get it. But this also just kind of seems like a standard variance to me.
Well, but it's not like a homeowner buying it and then asking for, it's somebody. with-
Oh, yeah,
so-
that would be a much easier ask.
It's
Yes,
easy.
if it was just
I
a
would
family coming in.
have a problem, but since it's, student housing and buying homes and flipping homes has always been, a thing in Morgantown.
Yeah, and you've gotta have parking.
And you gotta plan for that, as if that's your, directive of what you're trying to do with it, then you take that into account. Otherwise, if you're a family trying to move into a home, that's much easier for me to approve, in my. Because maybe you're like doing $100,000, like maybe you cut back on those remodels and
And put some in your
put
driveway.
put a metal roof
Parking.
in, and, but I'm just saying, I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm just saying, like, these are considerations that I'm weighing right now.
So you're not already leasing this, right?
No, sir.
Yeah.
This property is vacant. The permit that we put in was actually to start the remodel.
I just wonder if it would be possible just to terraform, like, right.
The neighbor's
there,
property
just-
where it blew up.
Well, no, I just, along here, if it'd be possible just to terraform that to create
Yeah.
two,
Well, that's what
Not
I'm suggesting.
perpendicular
You'd
to the
fill in, you'd
or
bring it up,
parallel
and you'd
to the
retain
wall.
that little wall right there, and they could pull right off the street, but like he's saying, it would be upwards of like $15,000 to $30,000 of concrete work and excavation. Bringing
To
that film-
stabilize the bank
We have to bring the fill
after-
material in from somewhere, and then you'd have to then make a wall to hold it.
Do you know the owner of that empty lot next to you?
I have reached out to that owner, because I had the same idea. I have a call and a voicemail. I looked it up through like the taxes to try to get the contact information, because I had the same idea. I was like, maybe I can just buy that lot.
Yeah,
Or just lease two spots from him?
yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I have a call and a voicemail into who I believe the owner is, yeah. I had the same idea.
Oh, are we talking about?
They didn't burn up with the house, probably, I hope, but.
but you haven't had a response, that's probably the best solution.
Are we talking about the parking that we can see is clearly parking, or the
Yes.
house that we could turn into
He's talking about
parking?
leasing two
I'm
spots.
talking about that
right there.
empty lot with
Yeah,
like
empty
that,
lot where the
that
van's
cutout.
in there.
Yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be great.
And even the.
If he could rent
cutout.
two spaces from that guy, who obviously doesn't need it,
Yeah.
unless he's got a tent there.
Yeah,
Then-
or maybe the tenants were at home when they took the aerials.
My understanding is that and this is all speculation, but my understanding is that they may be under some insurance litigation at this point.
Probably, yeah, that's for sure. Well, what if you, I mean, I'd vote to grant it, but, I mean, you guys seem disinclined. If maybe you could continue it, give him a couple months to see if he could lease two
That's kind of
spots.
where I'm at. I kind of want to put maybe something provisional so that he could do the work, but under the idea that like,
Yeah,
I want to
no.
look at this again when I know more about this property. I don't, from this angle, I
You
can't say
can't.
whether it looks.
Right.
So we need more, information.
Yeah. Yeah, I would feel better if I had more information. Like, one, if I knew what the congestion was like on that street, like, are we gonna be adding to other people's problems like we would, like other times, like maybe, because if this is a bunch of student homes and there's nobody there that's gonna really know about this to come here and go, hey, we've lived there, because it's just people are in and out of these homes, so I don't wanna create a problem on that
Right.
street inadvertently.
So then you could continue it
That's kind of what
Yeah.
I'm saying. I want more information. I would
2,
like
3
more
months,
information.
give him time to see if he can either like build his case for why that excavating that hill would be cost prohibitive, or make it easy for everyone and lease 2 spots from the neighbor.
Or one of the neighbors, it doesn't necessarily have to be the one next door.
Yeah, some.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
Got it, yeah.
there's lots of people you can ask and, hey, if you're gonna pay them for a space, so that's not that hard.
So motion to potentially table this then and
Yes.
return
Like
to
that.
it whenever the applicant can provide a little bit more information. And
Yes.
that'll give the city time to also look and see parking regs. To
Yes.
see that range
I would
of
like
how
to
much
see
they
what
could
the-
lease, if they
'cause if
can,
it's-
if they can't.
Sir, do you want to come back? I mean, could you do it in a month? Do you want to come back in 2 months? We have a meeting a month.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say in the next 30 days. I mean, we want to get this property moving sooner rather than.
Okay.
Can you use that additional month to compile additional like photographic, like a
Yeah,
ground view,
Some
you
letters
know?
from your neighbors if adding 2 parking spots on that street near that home would congest and they would have a problem with it. If you have some letters from your neighbors that say, we're cool with this, then I feel fine with it.
And maybe letters speaking to the specific unique characteristics of this particular property as it differs from, because, I mean, some of the other properties, they look similar, but are they really?
Yeah, they've all got parking, I mean,
Yeah, they've all got off-street parking, you can see
They
it
do.
there. Most of them do.
To maybe, to add a clarification to it, they return in a month, and as a condition or a part of the, maybe not a condition, but as a part of tabling it, the expectation is that they provide some support from their neighbors.
Yes.
With their consent to support it.
And
maybe
additional
potentially-
photographic views showing like the land topographically, the nature of the property.
So table it for a month, and then come back with additional photography to help support their claim, as well as support from some neighbors.
that would be good, yes.
That
That would
would
be very
suffice,
good.
you would think?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you all right with that, sir?
Yep.
Just providing additional photographic documentation of the character of
And
the,
information.
Or just find 2 spaces, and then it'll be easy.
Yeah, very easy.
Yeah,
Right.
trust me,
Maybe
if I
you're-
found them, I would have them already, but I will, I'll get you guys the additional photos, and I will work to coordinate with the neighbors, and in parallel, I will reach out to the property owner next door to see if I can get those spaces, so I will.
There, or if you could, at least from that whole strip up there, you know.
right. yeah.
Okay,
All right,
thank
thank you,
you.
sir.
All right, guys, appreciate you, thank you.
Cheers.
Did you have something additional to?
There will need to be a motion to table it.
Oh.
Right.
I move that we tabled,
I'll second that motion.
So we have a motion to table,
VAR 25-076, wait a minute, no, excuse me.
second case, VAR 25-076,
Okay,
John
so what-
Espinoza,
Okay, well.
731. We have a motion to table till at least the November regular meeting.
Yep, I second that.
And seconded by Mr. DeWitt. How do we vote?
Aye.
Aye, so that case is tabled. So we're moving on to VAR 25-081, Zanchun Zhu, 67 Jones Avenue, request by Zanchun Zhu for variance relief from section 1365.04 of the city's planning and zoning code regarding minimum off-street parking requirements, City Tax District 12 in the 3rd Ward, tax map 20, parcel 219, in the R3 multifamily residential district.
For VR 25-081, much like the ones previously before it, here's kind of a rendering to show the site and well as the buffer zone, and a more zoomed in, detailed description of kind of the size of the lot, visuals, to kind of see it a little bit better, as well as a frontal kind of view of the home, as well as that one parking space that they have on the right there. So the applicant seeks to gain a certificate of occupancy for this residential dwelling at the above referenced address. This will be a multi-unit structure with 3 units in total. The applicant has one existing parking space shown there, as I believe well in the packets, just shown visually up there, on the side of their structure. Refer to the relevant sections of code below, which just describes the calculations for how to get to the conclusion of how many spaces are needed. In summary, the applicant is planning to rent a residential structure at the above referenced address. The applicant is requesting variance regarding 3 off-street parking spaces. They would need 4 in total. They are able to provide 1. So they are seeking the difference of the 3. Please see the attached application to review findings of fact listed. Staff have had no comments or modifications. This attachment can be found below the conditions. Additionally, staff have no objections to the request for variance relief. If the board does grant the applicant variance relief from section 136504 of the city's planning and zoning code, the use shall be subject to the following condition, being our standard condition referenced in the previous variance requests. And then that'll conclude staff report.
So the square footage requires 4 off-street parking?
Yeah.
How big is this?
It's not by square footage, it's just by occupants. So 1 bedroom dwelling unit is 1 space per unit, but if it's 2 or more bedrooms, it's 0.75 per occupant, per bedroom. So that, they need 4 based off the 3 units and then the individual occupants within those units. They have 1 already there, they are asking for 3.
I can't tell the depth of that
Yeah, can we stack?
driveway, but can they stack them?
No, that driveway is actually barely appropriate for
Okay.
for
For one car?
For 1 car, but it's due to due to the right of way on that street. They're just within the size for 1 spot. They can't.
They hit the sidewalk.
It's just
Yes.
barely 8 foot wide, in other words.
No, it's
Long.
it's the depth.
Oh, the depth,
So
okay.
the width is okay, and I can maybe show it a little bit better in this image. The width is all right, but the depth is barely.
Because it's 8 by 16, right?
It's 8 by I think 18.
18,
8 and a half
18.
by 18. So it's 8.5 wide, and then barely just 18 deep.
Jones is one of the worst streets in Morgantown.
Yeah, for parking. Oh. Okay. Get the person under.
That'll conclude staff.
Okay,
report,
thank you.
though. Yep.
Any questions for Mr. Thompson? Do we have a representative for this case? Please approach and to the podium and just speak to, yeah. Can you just state your name and address for the record?
Joe for address 67 Jones Avenue.
Okay.
And,
And then just speak to the particulars of your case.
yeah, that's one, that's, when I report this one, it's like a same size, nothing is same. The bedroom, I just, when I remodel, just put a basement, first floor, third floor, they usually say the door is two front door and one basement door.
Right.
Everything just separate like a different unit. Before is the bedroom almost same.
Right.
And when I bought it, I applied the permit, and beginning, people don't tell me require anything.
Right.
And I just keep doing everything. After doing everything, and different inspection coming, I think the whole become an inspection, and he say need a sprinkler and a parking lot. I had no idea. Beginning, they don't tell me when I do it.
Right.
And after that, they require me for parking stuff, but that only.
Did you like reconfigure the interior to increase the number of occupants to make it more?
Inside.
Yeah. Has the number of occupants increased?
Or the-
No.
So the number,
Just
It's always
different
been-
unit, different, like a 3 unit before, only like a duplex, two front door.
Yeah, now he's got a basement.
And inside the bedroom,
Right.
was same, something finished.
Okay. So,
but you added a basement unit.
Yeah, basement unit.
For one additional occupant?
Before has one bedroom in the basement too.
okay, so we've added an occupant.
They had a stair inside, go to the basement, use the.
Oh, so they still use this, he's
Well,
out,
like,
he's out of access.
Separate
Access.
Yeah, separate access. Yeah.
So how did they get away with it before that?
They were
Right.
probably grandfathered in. Can you speak to that, Mr.?
Yeah, it's old enough that it's kind of similar to the other one where, when was it originally given? That, approval it's just existed for however long it existed, and, I was not able to find those records. And then it lapsed. And then now it's here.
How long did it lapse?
Applicant may be able to speak to how long it was vacant.
Yeah,
Oh, long time.
long
I
time. Oh,
asked the David, he's about 6, 7.
Oh, wow.
6, 7
Well,
years.
I bought it 21.
Okay.
At
was
least
trying-
about 6, 7. That house almost condemned.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it looks
it's
good
bad.
now.
It's condemned. He just now we do it on the back side of the wall, it's almost lost. When I remodel this, we will new hole on the back side of the wall.
So,
Is there-
again, you heard the prior case with parking, and Jones Avenue is really bad. Is there any way you can talk to a neighbor or neighbors?
Oh, yeah, I
and-
also talked to David, that's true.
'Cause it looks
Well,
like-
well, what about that ramp? Is that ramp public? Can anybody get a pass there?
What ramp? Let me see, which ramp you?
Top left corner, off of University.
I mean, on an already over congested street, adding 3 more cars isn't gonna change.
'Cause this,
I'm just joking, I'm saying, they already fight for parking on that street already, so if you
Yeah.
add 3 more.
this one
does it
isn't even,
really
this
change it?
parcel's not even as wide as the other one, it doesn't look like.
No.
To put vehicles out in front of it.
So, do you know, is that a public lot?
For the top left there.
enough?
I'm just not aware. I don't believe so, but I'm
Which on the
unaware.
screen?
It is the.
Yeah, point, show us.
No, I'm talking about out here, like the parking
Oh, for the.
ramp on University.
It's way too far.
That's way too far?
Yeah, so, there's also conversation with one of the neighboring kind of property owners, to use their, they kind of have a parking area. It's just out of the range that would be permitted for them
Okay.
to use it.
So for this is kind of, I think a little bit more of a, I would say, special case, but it is a highly congested area. And what does the city recommend on this one?
Well, at least for, what can be done about kind of using another, parking lot or something per our ordinance. He's not within range and he's not within the use in a district where it's large enough that he could lease. He has talked to, one of his neighbors and they were willing, or at least interested to talk
Yeah.
something out, but per our ordinance, we can't require that
Okay.
because of the
What-
distance.
What is the distance again?
I believe because of the district that it's in, it's 200 feet.
200 feet, yeah, that's what I was gonna guess.
So it varies depending on the district?
Yeah, it depends if it's a business district, what type of shared parking facility it is, et cetera, et cetera. But those are kind of the two major parts of it, and it's 200 feet for his case. And there weren't, at least the one that was previously talked to, it's not within that range. Down the street a little bit is blue curb. He, maybe a condition or something that he would have to go try to acquire something for that. And then if it's given, then it's approved, or if it's not given, then maybe retracted and he has to come back, or just kind of, at least in a similar example to the ice cream parlor one, where you condition that they have to try and they have to go and go through the proper channels to get those. Either get it striped, or get a tag provided for that parking, and then if it's not given to them, then anybody would be kind of out of luck. But
Right.
that would be up to the board. But down the road, there is a blue curb, which you could potentially
And how
put.
far away is the blue curb and how much of it? I mean, does he have an opportunity to get enough spaces or no?
Talking about like Wilkes Hill or?
It would be a race and every day to who gets that space first up there.
Well,
you
it's
know?
not really as
Right.
close enough as I'd like it to be.
Or,
It's not moving.
Would it be
I
possible,
mean, there's nowhere for him to put parking.
Yeah,
would,
there's-
it wouldn't
Right, I
be very
understand.
convenient,
But there's
but,
nowhere on the street to give him any parking.
no, there isn't.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to,
Is there any way to, like, down the side, there's one, you can offer one spot?
He's got one spot.
How,
Which
is
is
there
like
any
more
way,
Yeah, one.
because, yeah, just to extend, I mean, it wouldn't be very convenient for your tenants, they'd have to back up. I'm leaving now, and then everyone would have to back out, but is there any way to extend that?
There's not enough width on the
So
side,
it's-
because we've
there's just not-
discussed that so there's a tree that's located, it'll be easier to see in this
Yeah, where's
We
the other
we did
picture?
notice the tree.
Yeah.
So it's not even,
So-
it's just barely 8 foot wide there.
Yeah, so he
Does he own the tree?
I take the measure almost 16.
That's the property line.
it needs to be
tree's
17
not on his
for,
property. That's
and also where your
really
property line is, there going down, there isn't enough room for that 8.5.
To extend
width.
that down the side of the structure.
Correct, yeah, he could, remove of the tree and extending it to the side.
Yeah.
Where his neighbor's property line is, it's
Yeah.
too small. He
Oh.
doesn't get the full.
So the
8.5.
front yard can't do anything with it either?
It doesn't,
no, you can't, park.
house.
Well, I'm thinking even sideways,
Pull it in.
pull it
yeah.
in on the, make the
yeah, that's
grass.
crazy.
I would think too is
I don't think
that's
there'd be
never
any
gonna be a
issues with planning,
single-family
but I know
house
for
there
engineering
in
that
spot.
wouldn't be
Right.
permitted. Engineering wouldn't permit that.
Okay.
But the city, you guys say you see no problem with this variance request.
Yeah, we don't object to this variance request.
Okay, I mean.
To this.
Well, like, I mean, is that ever gonna be a single-family house in that spot there?
No, it's always, no, exactly. This is, in fact, I think.
It's always gonna be
half the people
rented.
that I knew back in college, none of them had cars up there because
Yeah.
of how congested.
And he can't rent that place as to
No.
one person.
No way.
No.
This is also a multi-family district.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if a single-family dwelling is permitted.
So that
I'd
actually
have
is
to
another-
look, but it's, at least for what
That's
their
in his
district
favor.
is, it's
That's in his favor.
multi-family.
Yeah, so he either has to get this variance, or there's, like,
There's
that is
nothing
that is
else
an
he can do.
economically useless
I mean, the other
property.
area, at least it was a residential zone. I mean, like, our family could have had that other, this one's only college homes.
Okay, but he,
The
Terrible spot.
The other difference between this case and the last is the proportion of the structure to the overall lot.
that's correct. I
That's
agree.
another significant difference.
Yeah, we
Relating
can't-
to the
we can't tell
parking.
him
And
to
be, but,
build more.
and before it was 2 units, they were using the other bedroom. I mean.
What do you mean
it-
before he bought it?
Yeah,
No, so it was always being used, he just added an access.
no, I
Oh,
understand, I did understand that, so he's got
Okay.
2 doors in the front. So I'm saying, so he actually added an access, which added more need for parking.
Because of the.
What about keeping it? I mean, I know that's potentially not what you
Can we-
intended,
Yeah.
but
Even like those townhouses?
That would
you couldn't
be-
rent-
Can you limit yourself, instead of going with 4 occupants, so that we're decreasing the
the
degree of
number of space
nonconformity?
needed,
Are we
and,
able
yeah,
to
so
do
we're.
that?
Can you go with maybe no more than 3 occupants? We know you modified the basement. Just
Because
So that we can limit-
Because we already know the road's really bad congested but I think we ought to go with the route of try the blue spaces
Yeah, see if we can get a blue space.
because we would rather you have the use.
You can
of-
offer 2 spaces of the 4.
Yeah.
If you can get a blue, yeah.
Okay, 127.
That,
Oh, go ahead.
it's again, the length, the distance there. We can double check it, but I'm pretty sure that's still out of that range, for it. And at least from what it sounds like, maybe potentially putting a condition on to try and acquire a blue stripe, like, a
We'd
blue
like to
curved
see that
space.
arrangement
Blue,
made
he'll
before
need
we...
a couple blue, isn't he?
Well, it's
hard.
3, but it's
Oh.
what the board would
We could give them
vote
one
on,
and
you
make
know.
them, have them get one blue spot.
You have 1 spot, if you could get 1 additional with your 4 occupants, that's,
But that whole street is fight for parking anyway, so I think everybody,
Yeah.
even if we approve it, doesn't mean he's gonna be able to use it. Because the amount of people fighting for it, so
Yes,
we can
it's bad.
approve this, but at the same rate, like, it's just like fighting for parking up there. I remember this very well,
Oh, yeah, I've driven through it many times.
yeah.
so...
So I don't think it really matters.
And effectively, we have to give the 3.
We have to give the 3, or we have to, I think I'd like him to get a blue pass just to give somebody the opportunity to have a parking space, but at the same time, even if we gave him the variance, it'd still be the same problem he'd be in regardless.
Do you want to see him have those arrangements in hand before we...
I don't think it changes it.
Consider, okay.
I just don't think it changes the issue of there's not enough parking up there. I think, I kind of would say we approve the variance because it's just everybody's out.
I'm leaning toward approving just because of this case is different in terms of
It
the,
is.
the proportion of the structure to the parcel.
Yeah.
And where
It's different.
located,
Where
It's
it's
always
located.
been there.
And used for that purpose.
Okay.
I would
And-
like him to seek the approval, but I don't think he has to have it.
Right.
So approve it with the condition that he applies.
He applies, agreed.
Do you want, do you have anything else, do we have any other questions? Okay, let's go ahead and, we're going to open the public hearing to move things along, so we may have other questions for you.
But you can be seated, yeah.
You can go, yeah, you could be seated. Go, you're all set,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, we're opening the public hearing for VAR 25-081, 67 Jones Ave. Anyone wishing to speak in support of or in opposition to this case? Now's your chance to do so. Seeing no one, we're going to close the public hearing. Do we have, I mean,
I motion to accept the findings of fact.
and I will second, a motion by Mr. DeWitt to accept the findings of fact, seconded by Mr. Misfelt. How do we vote?
Aye.
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 I move to grant the requested variance with regard to the parking, subject to the standard condition.
With a condition that he applies for blue, just applies, not receives, but applies for a blue parking permit.
Permit from,
The parking authority.
Yeah, parking authority, yeah.
okay, so we have a motion to approve the requested variance for the parking, subject to the standard condition with the additional condition that the applicant apply for parking through the parking authority, City of Morgantown.
Seconded.
We have a second on that motion. How do we vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So we have granted your request. You will receive written notification from planning in 7 to 10 business days. Keep in mind that any work that you undertake in that 30-day appeals window, you do at your sole financial risk, because it can be appealed. Do you have any questions? All right.
We'll follow up with you.
And you'll receive a letter from planning soon. All right, we're moving to the next case, and that is VAR, this is comes under new business, by the way, VAR 25-082, Jan Pell, 213 Lyndhurst Street. Request by Jan Pell for variance relief from section 1335 .05 of the city's planning and zoning code regarding encroachments into setbacks, City Tax District 10, 6th Ward Tax Map 29, Parcel 636 in the R1A Single Family Residential District.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is a map of the site at the intersection of Lyndhurst and Arlington. You can see it's a regular size shaped lot. The picture on the left-hand side of the screen shows what the previous street view from Google was of the previous deck that was on the back of the property or porch. And the applicant wanted to repair and replace that. So the image on the right is what is currently there. And so I'm not sure, and maybe the applicant can speak to this, but the work was done without a permit, so we're trying to rectify the situation now.
Okay.
But notice that the deck or porch that was put on was basically in the same parameters of the existing. What was new and made it an issue was the stairs that came down. And so therefore, the applicant is seeking a 3-foot variance based on that portion of the zoning code that governs uncovered stairs or porches.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
That concludes staff's report.
Thank you.
And the issue is it's not far enough from the property, or is it's uncovered?
Pardon me?
The issue is it's too close to the property edge, or?
It's an encroachment into
The
the.
stairs encroach.
And would this be side or rear? In terms of,
Encroachment.
like which setback are we talking about?
It would be on
Just to
the-
try to contextualize it.
I guess street, because that's where Google View.
It's side?
It would be the side, but that encroachment applies to any property line.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Thank you. Do we have a representative?
Yeah.
Please approach and state your name and address for the record, sir.
First, my name is Jan Pell. I've owned the property since about 2002. The porch did come in disrepair, so we had it replaced. The porch itself is the exact same dimensions. I'm assuming that the original porch was there since the house was built in the 30s.
Mm-hmm.
The porch never had steps. So the contractor did build the steps. Once the steps were added, they did encroach on the line. I want to apologize to everybody, and I know you probably hear this all the time, but I can't change the fact that other people say it. The contractor that did this had worked for me many times in the past. He always took care of the permits. I've only took care of one permit in my entire life in the city of Morgantown that I actually did myself. So I have faith in the contractor. It's my wife's first cousin. He's a licensed contractor, state licensed. He's insured. He's done work for me before in the city limits. He has always got permits.
Yeah.
He may have not have thought it was
Not sure
applicable to
what
these
happened.
stairs,
I'm sorry.
He may have not thought it was applicable to these stairs or something, I wouldn't beat him up too bad.
Maybe, but because in 6 days, it'll be exactly 1 year that he has completely 100% ghosted me.
Oh.
Oh, no.
So the last contact I had with him was October the 21st, contacted him October 27th, and then January 28th. And I've had 2 calls to him since that time, and he has never responded to me. The 21st of this month will be exactly 1 year. So my gut sort of tells me that maybe he sort of knew that he was doing something wrong.
Oh, okay, fair.
But that is, I'm assuming that's totally irrelevant. But what I'm asking for is, there's a couple things that I would like to say in my defense as far as asking for the setback relief. So the house never had steps on the back. So I believe the addition of the steps, although sticking out a little bit, definitely add a little bit of safety to the house. Because now it has
Point of
a
egress.
definite exit out of the back.
Yeah.
And it's never had, it doesn't look like it, but that porch is probably about 10 feet to 12 feet high. It's pretty high.
Yeah.
And so the steps mean that now the tenants, if in an emergency, they can actually have
A way down.
a way to get to ground level,
Right.
out of the back of the house. The other thing I'd like to say is that the base of the steps, all of the posts are on a concrete slab that has been there, I'm assuming, since the house was built. So they're on that concrete pad. So we didn't have to construct something new for them to have a solid base.
The footprint's the same footprint as before.
What's that?
The footprint, the concrete base, the posts are all sitting on I've already
Yes.
already encroached on this edge.
Yes,
Yeah.
and thank you for saying that, because that was better put than I could put it. The other thing that I can think of that I want to say is that from a layman's standpoint, the first thing that comes to my mind is, does this encroachment cause any kind of safety issues? Like, for example, would it hinder a fire truck from going down the road because it's coming a little bit closer to the road than the corner of the house? And my answer to that is, unless a fire truck has never went down that road in the last 30 to 35 or 40 years, that's not going to have anything to do with a fire truck going down there, because there's a group of about 4 or 5 very large pine trees that come up literally right at the edge of the road. So before my porch could be a hindrance to something going down that road, not the porch, but the steps, those trees are going to be more of a hindrance. They literally come out of the ground right at the edge of the street, right next to the blacktop. And so my porch sits back further from the road than those pine trees. And those pine trees, I'm going to guess they're 35 to 40 years old. So they've been there a long, long time. So again, from a layman's standpoint, that seems to be like the most important thing that I would consider.
Any neighbors have a problem with it? Any neighbors mention it?
Sir, I really apologize, but Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry, any of the neighbors mention it? Like, okay.
And
We haven't-
these folks put a sign
Okay.
in there saying that there was going to be a
I
public
mean,
hearing.
I'm good. I don't have any more questions.
I don't either. Thank you. Yeah, we may have other questions for you, but not at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Pell.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The only difference I can see would be if the stair were oriented differently, but there would still be encroachment at the base. I think.
But there's a concrete pad that was already poured, that's already kind of set, in my opinion,
Right.
precedence of, you're just coming up off of something that was already made, so. And you're not the original owner of this home?
I'm not what?
You're not the original owner of this property? Okay.
He said he bought it in 2002.
Okay. I don't want to split hairs, I don't really see a problem with
Any other questions? Okay. We'll open the public hearing for this case. This is, let me just reference yeah, I'm sorry. We're going to open the public hearing for VAR 25-082 Jampel 213 Lyndhurst Street. Anyone wishing to speak additionally in support of or in opposition, please do so now. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Thank you. I don't know. It's pretty straightforward. What's that?
Yeah.
So if it was covered, would there be no 3-foot requirement?
What was the question?
If the porch was covered, would there still be a 3-foot setback requirement?
It'd be more.
It'd be even more?
Yeah, when you add a roof to something, it becomes a part of the main
It's like structure.
stuff, so it'd be probably like, I don't know,
8
anywhere from 8 to 20
8 foot.
feet. It could be what you, yeah. But if it's uncovered, which it is, then that's where that 3 is coming from. If it was covered, it would be more restricted.
So that original porch would have been, and that didn't satisfy the setback either.
Due to the size of the lot too, with it, the lot, as you'll notice, is very small.
Yeah.
They, for surface area, because there's a percentage of the lot you have to keep uncovered, it's already above that.
My property is very similar to that. It's very
Yeah,
similar.
and it doesn't meet, it's one side setback because as you can see, it's like hugging the property line. So there are other issues with the property for, if it was built today, it couldn't be at all,
Right.
basically, so. Yep.
Yeah.
So this isn't really changing, it was already, it's not increasing the congestion or anything. I move to approve the findings of fact.
A second.
All right, we have, no questions about the findings of fact
No.
from anyone? Okay. We have a motion to accept the findings of fact with a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and again, this is for VAR 25. So we've accepted the findings of fact. We have a motion to grant the requested variance for VAR 25. I move to grant the variance for
I'll second.
for VAR 25-082. Excellent. And we have a motion to grant, seconded by Ms. Cook. How do we vote?
Aye.
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 You're welcome, thank you. So again, you will receive written notification 7 to 10 business days. As with every case, please keep in mind that it can be appealed to the Circuit Court of Montague County. So any work that you do in that 30-day appeals window, you do at your sole financial risk. Thank you for coming down this evening. Thank you. Okay, we're moving to the next case. Under new business, this is for VAR 25-90, Fadi Farid, 442 Baird Street, request by Dylan Goodwin on behalf of Fadi Farid for variance relief from section 1337.05 of the city's planning and zoning codes regarding encroachments into setbacks, City Tax District 13 in the 5th Ward, Tax Map 29, Parcel 85 in the R2 Single and Two Family Residential District.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, this is just an aerial map of the location there on Bear Street, one structure away from Baird and Forest Avenue. The applicant is in the process of renovating the two-family dwelling, and in doing so, this lower unit, they want to install a deck with stairs that go down to the property. Again, just like the previous case, it's an irregularly shaped lot. It's very small. This is a rendering on the left-hand side of what the applicant's proposing in terms of what, the kind of the detail of what the deck and stairs will look like. And on the image on the right is actually what the layout will be. A 6x10 deck with stairs coming off and then going down towards the bottom part of the property. And again, that deck would be right where that door is, and the stairs would come off to your right-hand side and then come down towards Bear Street. So the applicant is seeking variance relief for the full amount to accommodate this proposed improvement to their property. That will conclude staff's report.
Thank you. Do we have a representative for this case?
Mr. Farid is online, I believe.
He's online. Oh, all right. Good evening, sir. Can you maybe provide an overview for what you're proposing?
Yes, I have Dylan here on the call as well. He'll be able to specify everything to his exact, so I'll let him speak on that behalf.
All right. So just state, we know you're coming in remotely, just state whoever's speaking, name and reference and address.
Dylan Goodwin, 442 Baird Street.
All right. And then just an overview of what you're proposing with justification.
Just a small deck, something to walk out on. We were allowed to, this started out as a multi-unit and it lost its variance due to vacancy. So it's a duplex now, which has basement living, and we put a door in there because there was always stairs to the upper levels. So we put a door down on the backside, which was approved. But there's really no way to safely get down the road level because it's all on a hillside.
Right.
Why do we need the variances there? You're encroaching on the property line again, is that what we're?
Yeah, it encroaches into, sorry, oops.
The front yard setback.
Yeah, because so this would be Because it's a unique structure, this would probably be, that whole curvature would be considered the front yard, but again, we're looking at this lower corner of the property. So it's just very tight.
Okay.
There's, yeah.
Okay. This kind of looks like the previous case.
Mhm.
I can see the
Thank you.
safety concerns.
I mean, I see this being a property improvement and kind of necessary. And neighbors don't have any issues with this?
Not that we,
See?
Dang
I
it.
mean, not to our knowledge, through any written correspondence or anything like that. Maybe during public hearing, somebody will surprise us,
Okay,
but
okay.
at least as far as anything that I've seen, even though I've been out, I'm not aware of any particular grumbles against it.
Okay, I don't have any questions.
Well, it's only encroaching on the front, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're
I mean, it's not
asking,
even encroaching on the neighbors.
I don't believe so.
So does that mean it's encroaching on their property line?
it's
City
approaching to
property
the right of way.
Right,
The
to
city's
the,
right
to the
of way.
front.
Oh.
So, I mean,
What's
it shouldn't
the
really bother any, the
What's the
neighbor.
distance of encroachment?
Regardless if it's a city right of way or a neighboring property owner, the setback requirement is 3 foot.
At how many feet are we coming onto it?
They're asking,
it looks like they're
We're
they're
asking
asking
for
for
the
the
full-
full 3. It looks
Oh, they're gonna
like.
come right to the
Because of
sidewalk?
the way it has to come down and
It's not
come out so you
Yep.
can have a way to
I
walk.
mean, I'm gonna go split hairs on that. I mean, I'm sure they can.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, is there a way to possibly shave a foot off of that just so it doesn't touch the sidewalk?
so I'm not sure, and maybe Mr. Goodwin or Mr. Fried, if you can answer that question, but I don't think the stairs, they don't come down to street level, right? I mean, they actually don't come down to the right of way. Is there still a grassy portion that you'd have to walk up to get to the steps? Or-
No, it would almost be road level setback, like,
Because it looks like it's
So
an
you-
addition.
right into the grass to get the stairs down there, I would say.
Oh, so you'd be able to step off the street and go up the steps, pretty much?
I'd want like
Yes.
1 foot of like.
Yes, which is
1 foot
exactly
of
like
base.
the neighbor parallel to us has their steps, and then
That's why they're asking.
it's a very
Oh.
tight street, it's a one-lane street in there, it's difficult parking, difficult to get into the homes, like, I would say the majority of them with the apartment complex at the bottom is the exception, all have like stairs down to the sidewalks or roadways.
Right.
If this was earlier in the night, I would ask for a little more.
Well, this is over by like Forest, I mean, this is over here. Like, there's nothing going on that street.
Yeah, there's nothing going on that street.
And how deep, what's the distance between the front of the new, where the front door is and the sidewalk? Is it about 12 feet from the front of the structure to the sidewalk?
I would say about 12 to 15 feet, yeah, it depends.
So it's going to be
I mean,
2 foot
if
shy
you're
of where
using
the
a
sidewalk is.
topographical map on it, it'd be much more because of the hillside, but straight out from the
10 feet
doorway,
and then another 2
you're
foot
probably
sidewalk.
looking at a good 12 to 15 feet.
Is that reasonable?
Yeah, so what, you think, so, okay, do the steps go right up to the sidewalk? Or is
I
there
don't
grass
think,
between
I
the
don't think
sidewalk
so. I
and
think
the
it's
sidewalk?
grassy.
He said it go right to the sidewalk is what he said a minute.
Is that what he said
Yeah.
earlier? Oh, okay.
So it's basically gonna touch the sidewalk?
Yeah, I kind of wanted 1 foot platform, you know, of like something, but he's also said the neighbors are the same, so if the precedent has been set by the neighbors also going directly to the sidewalk, then I really can't
And
ask.
maybe we could
Well, it might
condition,
not, it just might not be
Have
flat
them
enough to
do-
do that, too.
have them do a slab to
I
support
kind
the
of want a
base
little
of.
slab, because I feel like then they walk out, you know, they step off the steps and right on city property, then it's suddenly like, what if they get hurt?
So condition a slab at the, on the,
I kind of will.
under the foot
I
of the
would like a
steps.
foot, I would, but that's just me. I don't think I do have the right to demand that.
Like a 4 by 4 foot slab?
do I have a right to say that I want a foot before the sidewalk? So I just think, I don't know, is there any legal issue with them stepping off these steps and right on
Directly
and
onto-
then falling?
Well, at least for the stairs, the board can condition maybe a landing, like there has to be some sort of landing at the
Yeah,
bottom
because
of the
I don't want them
stairs,
to land on the
but
sidewalk and hurt themselves and then blame the city.
The question would probably be more for like a code review or engineering, because
Okay.
planning, we don't look at that
Okay.
at all. But if this was built in a way that wouldn't be safe for
Yeah.
like code or engineering
Because what if you
standards,
fall out of the sidewalk, then you fall out into the street? Because if they're aiming right at the sidewalk and you fall down the steps and you go right into the street, actually, I don't like that a lot, now that I think about it. Like, if you fall down the steps and they're angled right at the street and you end on the sidewalk, your roll path is gonna put you right in the road.
Yeah, and in code and engineering, we'll look at the stairs and see if they're
Before they issue the
secure and
permit.
structure and,
Okay.
and that. We don't have any purview over that. Of how like, you know, safely.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, we accept the finding of fact. Oh, do we open this up to?
Yeah, we need
We
to
open the public
open.
forum,
Yeah. So if there are no further questions, let's open the public hearing for this case. Anyone wishing to speak in support of or in opposition to this case, please do so now. Seeing no one,
Okay,
close the public hearing.
I move we accept the findings of fact.
And I'll second that. So we have a motion to accept the findings of fact for, let's reference the case number. This is for VAR 25-90 Fadi Farid, 442 Bayard Street. And we have a second. How do we vote?
Aye.
Aye. So we've accepted the findings of fact. I move to, is there any further discussion? We're comfortable with the?
I'd like to add a condition that it doesn't, the steps don't end on the street. Oh, okay. Like a motion to accept the, we already motioned to accept the findings of fact. So there's a motion to grant the variance with the condition that the steps don't end directly on the street, that there's some sort of landing, but again, that's for city code planning to advise.
Okay. So we have a motion to grant the requested variance for VAR 25-091. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, that's not the right case number. I'm sorry. Let me go back. This is for, I apologize. 25-90. Subject to the standard condition and the additional condition that the foot of the not be directly on the city right-of-way sidewalk.
Correct.
I second.
And we have a second for that motion. How do we vote on the requested variance for VAR 25
Aye.
Aye. So we've, sir, if you can hear us, we have granted your requested variance. You will receive written notification from planning in 7 to 10 business days. Please keep in mind that the determination that we just rendered can be appealed in the Circuit Court of Montague County, and any work that you undertake in the 30-day appeals window, you do at your sole financial risk. Thank you for being present this evening in support of your case. Thank you. Okay. So we are going to move to the next case. And this is, again, under new business. This is, believe this will be the last case of the evening. This is VAR 25-091, Gregory Cummings, 842 Monongalia Avenue. Request by Gregory Cummings for variance relief from section 1335.05 of the city's planning and zoning code regarding encroachments into setbacks. City Tax District 13 in the 5th Ward. Tax map 25, parcel 167 in the R1A, single-family residential district.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, this is just an aerial view of the property. You can see Monongalia Avenue here on the left-hand side of the screen, and then the property actually, its frontage or lot frontage is actually on the alley behind the structure. And so the applicant has or is seeking to install a a covered porch on the rear of the property. Again, this is another instance where the work has been done, and we're trying to rectify the situation now with building permits and the like. And so if you look at what's being proposed, this is an site plan of what was proposed in terms of how large the deck is with the covering on top. You can see that it's proposed to be set 3 foot back from the current property line, from the property that fronts on Mongolia Avenue. And so because the structure is covered, it gets treated like the rest of the principal structure in terms of setbacks. So that's why they're requesting 17 feet of a variance for the covered deck. So I should note that the property, I guess you can see it in this other picture here. Again, it fronts on Monongalia Avenue, and it has a covered porch deck on the back side of it. The way this property is oriented, it's just the other way around.
Right.
So that will conclude staff's report.
Which building are we looking at? The one in the front or the back?
The one on the right with
right.
the truck parked in the lower portion and the garage door.
Okay.
And so the new construction is where it's in the shadow?
It's behind, actually. It's back behind. Yeah.
So do we have a picture
Oh.
of that?
How come we don't have a picture of
I
that?
do. I'm Laura's everything. I have the picture here on my phone if you want to see it too.
I would like to see it.
But-
Absolutely.
Well, can you just state your name and
Yeah.
address before you approach with your
Yes, sir.
pick?
Gregory Cummings, 442 Hidden Valley is my personal address. The occupant that billed it for the address is 1197 Greenback Road, Morgantown.
So you're not the owner, you're
Yes, sir.
speaking on behalf of,
I do have a letter from the owner giving me full permission to talk on his behalf if necessary.
that's fine.
But all it simply was, they stood a deck without a permit. To my understanding, it was a pastor of a church that was trying to do something for a neighbor on a very convenient price, but didn't understand the full subject of the law. They're not from this country, they're from Guatemala, so they weren't very aware. Now, the owner of the company does have a permit from the state to do jobs. However, somebody from the church did it under his name without him knowing about it.
Say that again.
Oh,
So someone worked under his license name without telling him about it.
oh my
And when
God.
the job was done, he got a citation for it,
Is
which,
that this job?
yes, sir,
Oh, okay.
which he got a citation for, which his second hearing is tomorrow. I've been trying to do, I'm his pastor,
Okay.
currently trying to do everything I can to help him out. That's all it is. So whatever the board decides, I'm fine with. And I've been working with Sailor, he knows that I come in on a regular basis just to try to resolve this as best as possible.
Right.
But if you all want to see the picture of the deck that's already completed, I have that available for you all as well.
Sure, and in your opinion, does the guy that did this work, does he do good work? Is this a well-done deck, or is it a?
I would say yes, I would say yes, very well done
Okay,
deck.
all right, we'll take a look at it, yeah.
But this is the
But somebody,
deck completed already.
Nice deck.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can tell how much closer it is from that.
And I was requested by, the word, if I could provide additional information as to the distance from the neighbors, and I was able to get that information. So they did say if it didn't exceed 3 feet, that there would be an additional variance. It does exceed 3 feet 2 inches. So it's just on the property line, it's just on the other side of the 3 foot mark.
well, because it's covered is the issue, right?
Yes.
So since we've spoken, we did some more analysis. There was, because it's a cover structure and that wasn't known at the time when staff reviewed that, it's treated as the principal structure, so the setback was actually greater. So that's why the request is 17 feet as opposed to a 3 foot encroachment.
Right, and whatever, like I said, whatever the board decides, we're fine with.
Is the neighbor here?
Just try to.
Yeah, is the neighbor here?
To make it
Okay.
as easy as possible for you all and for us as well.
Okay, we have a public motion, okay, excellent. Thank you very much.
So they, just to confirm, they're asking for 17, even though the dimension of the deck it's 10 foot, they still need a 17-foot variance?
According to the,
Three back.
according to the site plan, the structure comes within 3 feet of their property line. And the rear setback for this district is 20 foot. So that's why they're asking for 17.
Because it's covered.
Yeah,
Because it's covered, correct.
and even still, if it was uncovered, we'd still need a variance. No,
they'd
only need 3 feet. Oh, okay.
Got the wrong,
Gotcha.
Yeah, take the, right, exactly.
just like.
Okay.
Can I see that picture?
Absolutely, yeah.
I think I better look at it.
Yeah. What you got to do with it?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, cool.
And then, I mean, the neighbors have never sounded off.
They're here.
They are here, oh, okay,
Okay.
all right.
Here you go. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so, and there's no, before we open the, there's no correspondence on this, just to touch on that? It's submitted with regard to this case?
Yeah.
No?
Not that I'm aware of. Again, I was out for, tried to check yesterday, might have missed something, but at least that I've seen, I've not gotten any calls since I've been back regarding it.
All right, thank you. We are going to go ahead and open the public hearing for this case. And let's just reference, again, this is for VAR 25-091, Gregory Cummings, 842 Montague Avenue. Anyone wishing to speak in support of or in opposition to, we'll do the support first. Please approach, state your name.
Sits right back down.
Yeah, no, go.
Support or opposition? You support.
You said support.
Let's begin with in support of,
Anybody else?
just because there may be.
I think he's in opposition.
Can you, that's fine. All right, can you just, for the record, state your name and your
Address.
reference address?
My name is Joseph Pompora. My address is 900 Montague Avenue.
All right,
I am just to the right of this house, and I have questions on this.
right.
Because I think the board needs to start looking at how many times the owner has skipped getting a permit from the city. Because this was done on a Saturday and Sunday.
We are code enforcement.
I understand that.
Okay.
But that's the problem. We're not looking at the whole picture when we get variances for stuff that's already been done.
Right.
And the gentlemen that did the work, they did a really good job,
Yeah.
but they didn't clean up the trash. And that's part of the problems of not getting the correct paperwork done.
Sure.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
All right.
If I may, sorry, has the traffic cleaner since, sir?
Yes, why this young lady
Yeah,
here?
we'll, let's conclude the public, yeah, and then we'll address,
Rebuttal.
you'll have an opportunity for rebuttal. All right, so anyone else wishing to speak in, we'll just leave it in support of or in opposition to.
My name is Jessica Austin. I live at 845 Montague Avenue, so directly across the street. My issue with the whole situation is not only when they put the deck on, but they also put a new roof on that weekend as well. So I don't know if that was brought to the attention or if they...
You mean the principal structure?
Yes.
I don't think you need a permit for that, do you?
Yeah.
You do? For a new roof job?
I would think so,
Yeah. So there was two
Okay.
things
We-
that happened the weekend that were not...
I did.
right? Yeah. Yeah, you need a permit for a new roof.
Oh.
Is that all?
Yeah, that's it, because
Okay.
I walked by and looked and I didn't see a permit posted and I knew, no one really works on the weekend anyways that I could call, so...
Right, right.
So this just happened? This got done already?
I want to say maybe 2 months ago.
Oh, okay.
But the new roof on the principal structure was done concurrent with the,
Yeah, at the same time as the deck.
right. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in support of or in opposition? Anyone else? All right. We're going to go ahead and close the public hearing, and then we'll append your opportunity to rebut. Yeah, go ahead, and now's your opportunity to,
Okay. I know there were no permits ever submitted for the entire job. However, I have gone through the paperwork
There is a deck permit that was paid for, a roof permit also that was paid for. I do have all that paperwork here. But,
So is the issue that the applied for permits, they weren't,
there was no
they
permit
weren't
applied for.
Before
Before the job was done. The job was completed.
We're
then
catching up.
And we're just trying to rectify it.
Oh, I see.
They just did
Okay.
this all on a weekend.
So
I thought it was a case of applying but not displaying.
No, they just threw this
never-
stuff up in a
They
weekend.
never applied, but they have been applied for and paid for in full. I do have those documents here with me as well. And like I said, whatever the board decides, I'm fine with.
Well, here's my issue. Even assuming they did everything correctly, why would we give a 17-foot variance for that porch to put it in their
I was
neighbor's
gonna ask them how they feel about it being that close. to
back
the house.
pocket, basically?
There is no room for 17 more feet.
Yeah.
I'll get that, there is no more room. I mean, literally, you see the drawing that's on there, it's 6 feet from the deck to the next house. There is no.
I mean, there's no way, we wouldn't let somebody bring a porch that, a
I mean,
covered
it's-
porch that close.
I also
Right.
don't like, I mean, I'm not
Roof
I'm
or
not the
no
neighbor,
roof,
but
it's being
it feels like an eyesore being that close to the house. I'm not sure if that's how you guys feel about it, but it's pretty damn close, darn close.
Whether it's covered or not, it's
right on there.
It's right.
If
Do
it
you
was
like,
un-
do
if
you
it
guys
was-
like your
if-
neighbors?
If it was uncovered,
Yeah.
the 3-foot setback would
Be
apply.
fine.
Correct. It's
Yeah.
the fact that it's covered.
Can it
Right.
be uncovered?
I mean,
With
they
a
can,
chainsaw, sure.
it's up to them, yeah.
Because with covered, they need 20. But even if they came here for, like, if they came here for asking for 20, we'd be like, why? What?
Yeah.
What do you need a covered porch for? And if so,
Yeah.
like, you're gonna give your
We wouldn't
neighbors
give it
3
to-
feet?
Right.
I mean, we would probably be
'Cause
disinclined
It's a
to grant
substantial
that.
deck.
Especially if the neighbor had an issue with
I didn't
it.
want to apologize to the neighbors. I had no idea the trash was not picked up. I would have personally gone out and got it.
Well, that's,
Right.
We're fighting the battles here too, it sounds like.
Is the neighbor who is directly behind them?
Is that you
Which-
that's the neighbor that's directly?
No, they're
adjacent?
across. They're out of
across.
frame to
Oh.
the
Is the
right.
neighbor that's closest to that porch
I'm
here?
next door, she's across the street. The neighbor that lives, well,
And
that's
the-
right there, he passed away and the property just passed on to someone else. And I know he's active duty military, so he's not here right now.
So he can't hear, he's not here to defend himself.
Well, if
on
he's
this
deployed, then he doesn't even have adequate notice of this
Right.
thing, probably.
one. Oh, yeah.
Deployed, and he hasn't even been aware of it.
Yeah, I think he'd probably be pretty upset to see that coming home and it's like right out his window.
He's put extensive work into his house before he was deployed.
Yeah.
right.
And again, you as a representative of the plaintiff or client of the plaintiff, but don't.
I'm just, yeah.
I'm gonna lean on Matthew for this.
I can't,
Legal standing stuff.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, do we tell them to tear it down?
Well, that's not up to us, but we can deny the
Oh,
variance.
there's another variance, okay. Okay. Yeah, okay, I think we've got all the
Can
information
we-
we need.
can we look at the, any objections? Does anyone want to take anything up with regard to the findings of fact? I mean, they're kind of spare findings of fact.
Well, this is why we're having school after class today. Because if we're gonna deny this, we need to make a finding of fact. Well, okay, fine. I guess we'll move to not accept the findings of fact.
Simply built for simple environment.
I mean, essentially what I would do is move to not approve the variance
On what ground?
on the finding, on
There's
the
no-
grounds that.
I would
with
say there's no
respect to the
hardship.
first, well, with respect to the first finding of fact, the variance will not adversely affect public health, et cetera. I'd find that we found the opposite based on the testimony of neighbors at the hearing.
The degree of nonconformity and the
Yeah,
extent of the encroachment
And then didn't pick up the trash.
adjacent to,
Affected somebody, if somebody got cut, pick up that trash.
And then also, there's no evidence that there's any special condition or attribute of this property that's
preventing them from building this, a covered porch in a different spot, or in one that's not,
With
We're
different
making it a
dimensions.
little bit smaller.
that can accommodate the setback. I mean, there's no evidence, I mean, we haven't been presented with any special condition, any reason why they had to put it there. All
What's
we've been
the,
presented with is that it was done.
you know, the deck, it represents a reasonable development of the property. What's not reasonable is there's no justification for placement or the dimensions.
I mean, I would move to not approve the variance and under with the rationale that the board finds in the negative for the 4 findings of fact. We find that it would adversely affect neighbors. There is no special condition or attribute of the property that made the variance necessary.
Also,
There's no unnecessary hardship presented by the property owner. And granting the variance would not further the purposes of the zoning ordinance.
Is it guttered?
I didn't see no gutter.
So that watershed's gonna come right off into the neighbor's property right
Yeah, I
there. So
didn't
that's
see-
another reason.
It probably
I
is
didn't see no
gutted,
gutter structure on it.
but it probably is.
They might, if they did it without my knowledge.
I didn't
there
see
was
that
a
on it.
cease to work order given to them for it.
Because the deck roofing, it's not sloped, right? It's just,
No, it's sloped. It's got a,
Is it
it's got a
sloped?
slide. It's got like a 15-degree.
It's probably just a small slope, it's just a general slope, yeah.
Small slope,
There's
yeah.
still-
Maybe 8
It's still
degrees,
enough for
so
water
it's-
flow,
yeah.
and I understand that.
But that's gonna go right onto the neighbor's property, which is not, that's bad. You can't get.
You could gutter it, but still.
You could gutter, oh, no, I'm
Right.
saying,
Yeah.
but because it's going on the neighbor's property, that's another
Right.
reason that it's causing neighbor ill stuff for neighbors.
all right, so we have a motion to reject the findings of fact.
Yes.
With justification for doing so, and I second that motion, not to accept, to reject.
Right.
How do we vote?
Aye.
We have to, well, wait, we have to vote in the affirmative, right? Because we're.
Yes, because we're
Okay.
rejecting.
So,
Okay.
how do we vote?
Aye.
Aye.
To
So
reject.
we've
Aye.
rejected the findings of fact, and because we've rejected the findings of fact, we can't really make a motion to, I mean, granting the variance is, it's a moot point. So we have not granted your variance request.
I understand, does that mean that that needs to be removed?
We will follow.
Someone else will,
Talk to
yeah.
Sid.
Okay, because like, I told them that's probably what's going to happen. I did inform them that there's a good chance they might have to remove the deck because of how close to the property line it is.
You could
Yeah, I don't
modify
know.
it.
That's not our purview.
We'll talk to the city.
Talk to the city, and then if you need to come back to us, because the city is open to working with you and your client, we can remedy something.
Yeah.
Okay, good. If the board decides, then we'll follow.
We'll follow up with
Engineering,
you, yeah.
yes, absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Better to call the city ahead.
So,
Well, trust me, I already sent you a voicemail or emailed you, so.
now,
I've seen you every day for 1 week now.
Okay.
in light of the fact that there's one more agenda item on in the meeting packet, do we need to technically make a motion to
Table it.
table it?
No, it was withdrawn. I
Because
just
it
didn't
was
get to make the
withdrawn
update.
by the applicant, so we
Correct.
don't need a motion to. Thank you, everyone, for coming down this evening.
Thanks.
What?
So,
Okay.
I came this evening because I wanted to hear whether we were accepting the minutes from the last meeting. I never did receive any letter in the mail that I'm supposed to read 7 to 10 days after our last meeting of last month. Mrs. Wojcik, and I live at 2 o'clock. Range.
Right.
That's what the,
I received no correspondence. I came here to make sure the minutes were going to be accepted this evening. Also, in reading through the minutes that are posted online, my son's letter, which he had presented to you all before the meeting and had read to you,
Right.
actually did not appear into any of your things online. Mr. Cody Parker's letter appeared in 2 places, both on page 50 and 90, but his letter never actually.
And it's, well, okay.
we can remedy that.
Well, all right, so for our part, the meeting minutes for that relevant meeting are not available for review from our point of view. Planning can speak to, I mean, all the correspondence and all of the documentation certainly submitted in the course of the meeting should be included as part, because it's part of the record.
Once they're ready
This letter
for,
was actually submitted prior to it, as my letter was.
Well, that too.
Of the two letters I had submitted, the one with the photographs, the supplemental evidence had made it into the meeting packet, but my original 3-page letter, my comment submission.
Right. So,
And I wanted to make sure, since it went through the particulars of that case, that it was being included on the record, in case an appeal is filed, that it actually makes it onto the next docket and in the evidence.
Right. So, Miss, would you like to speak to that?
At least, yeah, to answer, to go back to that 7 to 10 day letter would not go to you, it goes to the applicant. So they are the ones who would receive that letter. There is no further correspondence publicly, like let into the paper or anything like that. So that 7 to 10
I was under the impression that everybody that received the initial letter that was within 200 of the variance relief would receive a letter saying that the motion was denied.
No, the action letter is provided to the applicant.
Okay.
And that's within that 7 to 10 business day window. I believe that is correct, right? Yep. So no other further correspondence. As you did state, it was denied, and that's kind of the end of as far as like what we send out, or any messages like that.
Okay, so and any appeal then would be to the magistrate court within 30 days?
The Court of Mon County, yeah.
Okay, and then what, the 201 Wakeman did receive that letter, so their 30 days on, would that have started already?
The letter was sent out.
Okay, good enough, thank you. But without receiving anything back, just wasn't really sure of the standing of things. Sure, I know that we had a meeting last month, we were following through and getting comments into the minutes and everything to where it needed to be.
Right.
I wasn't seeing Justin's letter, where I saw somebody else's letter that had been posted twice, and I knew he presented his letter to you all.
Right, so we just wanted to make sure that
Just wanted to make it, you know, auditing of things and everything was in. Yeah. So his letter should be in there, probably around either page 90 or 50, because there's a letter from somebody, a neighbor
Right.
that's in there twice.
Okay.
so I guess I would ask
No, go ahead.
who they need to contact, to get them that information, or what?
We'd be, for which specific part? If they're appealing it, or?
No,
if-
I believe they just want to
Just
make
want to add the
sure, they want to make sure that the
information.
information's in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, just yeah,
Justin's letter should be in your minutes.
have you, is this one you've emailed us then they have received it, and it'll,
The minutes have not been finished yet.
Correct.
Right, that's why they're not in
able
here.
to review and approve them.
and that's why the copy or anything you see online isn't the meeting minutes, because they're not available. What you're referencing, I believe, is the staff report of the previous meeting,
Right.
not the meeting minutes,
Okay.
which hasn't been, as they said, voted on today because they're not available, because they're not done yet.
Right.
For that. So it was the staff report that you're referencing. The meeting minutes have not been, approved or denied or anything like that, which they will do when that's available to them. But
So just
yeah,
come back to the
The next one?
sure. Yeah, to check and see.
Well, can they request when the meeting minutes become available?
I was going to say, if you would like to just call in, you don't have to show up, and just say, hey, did those minutes get done? We would be able to communicate that.
Posted online when they're approved.
Yeah, the minutes are posted online when they're approved, so they'll be available to see, but you're more than welcome
Leave that
to.
alone, that's what I was saying.
Yeah,
When they're not there.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to call and also check before the next meeting to see. It's, at least for mine, I'd say call both of us. I was out for unplanned reasons, so, if you've been calling me, I've not been able to answer. But I would say bug us, and we'll answer your calls about it, but they'll be available when they're available online. And that'll be fully answered, so. But those, if you're not seeing them, or if it's not yet there, that's why. They're just not uploaded yet.
Thank you very much. Before we, do we have announcements?
Other than we do have, there are some variances and stuff available for the next meeting, so we'll still be having our next planned meeting.
Right.
I don't believe anything else special to announce.
Nothing else, sir.
Thank you.
I move we adjourn.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn, seconded by me. How do we vote?
Aye.
Yes. We are hereby adjourned.